Hi, I'm Loyce Pailen. I'm Dr. Loyce Pailen from the University of Maryland Global Campus. And James Robertson, I call him Jimmy. I can't stop calling him Jimmy, is here, and I are here to give you just an overview of what we've been doing as a CAE in our journey to create a cyber ops program. So next slide. Like I said, I am Loyce Pailen, and I'm the Senior Director of the Center for Security Studies here at UMGC. Next slide. And UMGC has been a center for academic excellence since 2002. We were some of the originators in the program. We've done several redesignations over the years, and currently we are in cycle 3 to redesignate next year, which has been really exciting. Lots of webinars and seminars going on to teach us how to redesignate in this new environment. So that's been very exciting, and the folks in charge of that are doing an excellent job at keeping us aware of what we need to do. UMGC, and I have a typo there, sorry for the typo, has a master's in undergraduate programs, master's and undergraduate programs in cybersecurity, in both technology and in some of the policy and management arenas. We also have digital forensics, and the one we're going to talk about today in cyber ops. So if I had an hour or so, I could go into talking about the Center for Security Studies. Basically, the center has been developed because we are a CAE, and if anyone familiar with the requirements for that, we have to have a viable and sustainable center to basically make sure that as a CAE, we are meeting all of the requirements that are put forth as being a CAE. So I won't spend a lot of time with talking about the center because we have to use most of our time to talk about the cyber ops program. But we do have some high level goals and support level goals that we are working towards to make sure that we are viable and sustainable for our CAE designation. Next slide. So as I said, we've had a lot of our activities going on over the years. I've been responsible for the center since 2017, so there are a bunch of grants and activities that we've been involved in. We've been offering scholarships to our students. There's been lots of community outreach, not only to the higher ed community, but into the K-12 communities. But like I said, that would be another hour presentation. So let's just kind of move on. I'm available if anybody wants to talk about some of the activities that we've done, but let's move on to the next slide. So I'd like to introduce Dr. James Robertson. He has developed our cyber ops program at UMGC, and it's been an interesting journey as a CAE-CD to go through this new journey to become a CAE-CO. So Jimmy, please take it away and let us know how you spent your time over the last couple of years.
Well, thank you, Loyce, and welcome everyone. But there's not been much time to speak for myself anyway. It's been a lot of fun, but boy, I could use a few more helping hands and a few more hours in the day. But I am the program director for Cyber DevOps at UMGC, and that includes an undergraduate software development and security program, as well as a brand new this fall cyber operations program at the master's level. And now we are working to get, our goal is to get CAE-CO accredited down the road. We're not there yet. We have a lot of work to do. So just keep that in mind as I'm throwing these steps out there and showing you what we've done so far, parts of what we've done so far. But one of the challenges I've faced, in addition to making sure that all those ducks in a row for getting the CAE-CO going, all those knowledge units that we'll talk about in a minute, I also have to make sure the curriculum has all the supporting materials, all the modules that align with that, but also in align with what we have available at UMGC, our resources, our learning management systems, our virtual environments, and things along that line. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but again, it's been fun. So if you've done any type of work with the NSA CAE programs before, you know that there's measurement criteria. And here's the 10 that I have to work to get to the cyber operations level. And I'm not going to, talk about all of these because again, the time is very limited, but I'm going to kind of focus on the academic because as we develop these courses, and that's, by the way, we are still developing these courses. Our plan is to have everything developed by next spring. We've got almost 3 done right now, and the rest of them over the next 6 months or so. And so we that's all happening right now. So there's the academic side, but there's also a lot of other things we have to be thinking about, making sure we have the research for our students and our faculty, that those opportunities are there. And some of Loyce's participation is going to be very welcome with her cybersecurity studies area because of the grants and other things, other opportunities that we're going to definitely dovetail from. So we look forward to doing that. But we got to get the right faculty mix. We got to make sure it's an interdisciplinary science, which if you've looked at some of the knowledge units, it kind of is, but you got to make sure you implement all that stuff as well. So let's talk, maybe focus on the academic content a little bit. These knowledge units, you can think of those as modules or separate courses or modules within separate courses. And there's 10 units that have to be, mandatory, and I'll talk what those are. And then there's 17 other optional units, but you have to do 10 of those. And by the way, I'm talking about the standard. There's also the foundational, if you will, cyber operations. There's also an advanced version. We're gonna get the foundation first, I think, hopefully, before we go on to the advanced. But that's the plan right now. And after you get ready, the other thing is there's going to be a detailed curriculum review for the folks that from the NSA and their teams that will come out and look to see if we've done what we needed to do to make sure those knowledge units are aligned. So here's the mandatory knowledge units that we're working on. And again, we're packing these into our classes. And I point out a couple things. The first thing, there's a lot of them, a lot of diverse topics here, right, for the mandatory. And some also foundational things that students will probably get from computer science or computers engineering type courses, right? So we're hoping a lot of our students come in here with some of these foundational skills, but because we're going to continue to build on those. Also, the ones I have listed in blue require hands-on exercise. This is very, very focused. Everything we're talking about in these CAE, you got to do more and do more with what you've learned in your content. So that's what we're doing there. And then here's a subset, the first 8 of the optional units. And as you can see, there is, again, a significant amount of these have to be hands-on exercises, right? So as we're developing this curriculum right now, we also have to make sure we have the right virtual environments. And I was very excited to hear Jake and Ronald talk about their CTF exercise. I'm going to be talking with those guys because those are the types of things that we really need to be doing, particularly in our capstone, but also building up to our capstone. So we're looking forward to these mentorships that are actually part of the program as well to leverage from as we move forward. Here's the additional 17, and just give you an idea, as we have a pretty good design. We have before we start doing any content development or looking for open educational resources or building labs, we put a pretty good roadmap together. We really pride ourselves in that. It takes a while, but once you have that roadmap, the guardrails are really there to do. So we kind of picked out of these 17, we've already picked some, and we picked those based on, kind of our institutional knowledge. We have a lot of forensics knowledge. Some of the stuff we're getting from the Center of Security Studies that Loyce talked about. But we picked virtualization, cloud computing. We have a graduate program in cloud computing. We have a brand new undergraduate cloud computing program that we're getting ready to start. So it makes sense to pick that. We've got undergraduate in cybersecurity management policy, so it makes sense to do risk management information. We picked software security analysis, SDev, that's my original program. Software security analysis, as well as secure software development. Digital forensics, as I mentioned. Offensive cyber operations. Okay, this is really interesting to me. And it's probably one of the more challenging ones I'm faced with. But some of these virtual labs are out there that Ron and others are talking about will help me a lot, I think. And then this user experience, as well as a computer architecture. So we can leverage some of those skills that they learn, hopefully in computer science, and just build on those. If you've ever been to their NSA CAE-CO site, it's very good. They have a lot of information about the specific learning outcomes, the topics that they really want to be included. So I use this as again, my guardrails, my framework as I put these things together. Here's just a smattering of some of those items where we have, low-level program. We've got to develop these programs in C and assembly, and to the point where someone could, actually, discover vulnerabilities and make those exploits at that level. Reverse engineering. We're really excited to be using some of the Gydra as well as IDA for some of that reverse engineering malware analysis. Cyber defense. That layered defense is so important. A lot of tools involved in that as well. Virtualization. Both of the through the cloud architectures, but as well as some of the other tools that are out there to make sure they very detailed level of what's happening at this virtual level. So, and then the cloud security and cloud computing, where they deploy, they manage the security and the scalability. We're using, Amazon, Microsoft, Google. We're using, a mixing of many of those platforms. And then the offensive cyber operations. We play strongly in the cyber kill, Lockheed's cyber kill, as well as MITRE's attack frameworks. That really helps us zero in on those phases. And when you do that, you still got to worry about all the labs and things along that line. And we're trying to, again, stuff all this in there as we move forward and test it as well. So here's a quick example. I'll try to go through this, examples of some of the types of labs we're putting together. We try to leverage from existing labs. And again, there's a lot of really good content out there. I look at some of the cryptography labs at Syracuse came up, the seed labs. They're really good hands-on things that people can go through and play with public key and hash functions. I just was working through the first course right now was with the first cohorts going through with the first course, and we had the hash function lab, where they did an extended hash attack, which was, they kind of learned about that and how to mitigate that. We're using tools like Security Onion for some of the intrusion protection and IDPS labs. Again, I mentioned the Gydra for some of the reverse engineering. We're using volatility for some of the memory forensics. We're using Encase, Wireshark. Of course, you can't do anything without Wireshark. So when we put these desktops together, we got to make sure all these tools are on there. And then as we get closer to that capstone course, where we're really trying to put everything together, much more, do this, and based on the previous information that they've gained, we have lots of labs. And again, look at the focus here on some of the cyber kill, as well as the MITRE attacks, and we use those documents heavily to put these together. And we are, currently working with some vendors to make sure we have the right virtual environments and the right mentorship to make this happen. So that's really coming quite nicely. Now, so from the academic side, that I went through that very quickly, but if you go to the website, you'll see very focused again on the topics of knowledge for each one of those ones that we picked. So that's what I used to put this together. Have some great subject matter experts that helping us along, faculty and things along that line as well. So a couple things, I'll go through these very quickly and then we can kind of wrap up here. So the other areas, it's got to be recognized as its own little degree, and that makes sense, right? I mean, if these people go through all these labs and all these courses, we're going to award them with a nice a degree and or certificate, right? So that's an important part of it. And other things, if we are successful, we have a lot of work to do, but we're going to get reviewed. They're going to come out. We got to make sure our content is there. It's relevant, and we update it and also offer it frequently. And that's the plan for all of those things right now. And also the faculty members who are teaching it, me being one of those, as well as other members that I have, will be part of that review process as the committees come in and look at us. So that's important. Interdisciplinary science, again, by the definition of these knowledge units you see, it's all over the place. And we've got legal aspects, ethical aspects, we've got offensive cyber, all these underlying technologies are there. But also, because of that, I mentioned computer architecture, some other things, even the operating system. So other schools, the computer science, SDev, my program, software development security, will be part in routing these students into it. So multiple programs will be involved. And then also the goal, and I'm not there yet, is to be able to take some of these these concepts, these labs, these content learning topics, and put them into other academic disciplines so they can learn a little bit more about cyber operations as well. So I need to document, all these things need to be documented. And then it's got to be robust, active. We got to make sure our course catalog's up to date, and that we have a great team that takes care of all of that. We have to make sure that the research there, and again, I'm going to lean heavily on Loyce to help me with this, to make sure that not only are we presenting, we're getting the right grants, and not only at the faculty level, but also at the student level. They need to be involved in this research as well. And I wanted to mention the this contribution of the common knowledge and things along that line, but I also wanted to kind of have a shout out to a couple of universities that we've been working with. One of the aspects of doing all this is making sure that you have mentorship. Like, we're not a CAE-CO yet, but hoping we do down the road, we're going to be providing mentorship to other universities. And I shout out to Jason Deno and Tracy Prudhomme at University of Arizona. They have just been bent over backwards to help us with this thing, to get us going, as well as Dakota State University. Wayne Pauly, Pat Ingridson, and Kyle Cronin. Both of these teams sat down for hours with us, to go over things and help us. So that mentor, and I didn't have to ask twice. I mean, these people like responded the next day. So very impressive, and I hope to be able to do that once we get closer to meeting our goal as well. Students need to be involved, and we hope they get writing papers as well. The cyber competitions, and again, I applaud what Ron's doing and their team, and that we just heard about, because that's really part of it. High school and community college outreach too. All those things are important to be part of the checklist, and they have to be documented. And this commitment to making sure that we're supporting cyber operations, mentoring others, which I mentioned before. Also, there's the requirements for a number of faculty. Got to have at least 2 full-time faculty teaching, I think, 3 courses a year, something, a semester, something like that. And also doing the research at the same time. So lots to do, right? And we are getting there. Have a great team, great mentorship that's helping as well. We are, but I look forward to other people's comments and continued mentorship as we get closer. I'll be honest, there's a lot to cram into a small number of courses. And so I worry about that, but I'm also moving forward. We're putting modules together, putting labs together, and we're doing the best that we can. And I look for other people's tips and tricks because I'm sure there's some out there that will help us, but it's a long haul, but my hope is we will get there. So I believe that's all I had. Did you want to have anything else, Loyce? Any questions I can try to help with?
There was a question about how many courses are needed to cover the track, and are we using open source labs and tools? But I think that question about how many courses are needed to cover the track is something that we are discussing too. How do you get all of this stuff? There's a lot to put into a master's program. So, I don't think we have the answer to that. We do have the answer to what our program is now. Is it 36 credits, six credit courses?
That's right. And again, it's still tight. I mean, because you got to put a lot of modules in there, and we have other learning outcomes that are based on our requirements to satisfy soft skills and things, and those are all important to this too. So where do you find the room? Where is that course expander that we're all looking for? But like I say, we'll find a way with the help of a lot of other people that are doing that. Any other questions in there, Loyce, that you saw?
No, but I think we're out of time. But if anyone has any thoughts or want to discuss it more with me and Jimmy, you could just reach us at UMGC.